and spent many hours away from home to investigate these homicides. To our task force team, all of you have worked tirelessly around the clock to make the arrest happen. Your effort was second to none, and I could not be any prouder of each of you than I am right now. To our detectives, my evidence technicians, my task force officers, my dispatchers, records personnel, and the district attorney's office, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Our work is not done, though, as this is still a very active investigation. Now for the arrest details. Please remember, I can only provide limited information for the integrity of the investigation. Just because an arrest was made does not mean the investigation stops. We now have to have a successful prosecution for our victims and their families. For the last 2 days, I have met with our victims, their families. I can't go into our conversations, but our talks were very emotional. They want us to bring this person to justice. I'm honored to tell them and all of you that we have an all-star team of district attorneys and lead detectives who will bring justice for the families. The arrest happened in 2 parts. One was community tips, and the second was good old-fashioned police work. Based on tips coming to the department's Stockton Crime Stoppers, were we able to zero in on a possible suspect. Our surveillance team followed this person while he was driving. We watched his patterns and determined early this morning he was on a mission to kill. He was out hunting. He was stopped by our own team in the area of Village Green Drive and Winslow Avenue around 2 a.m. this morning. As officers made contact with him, he was wearing dark clothing and had a mask around his neck. He was also armed with a firearm when he was taken into custody. We are sure we stopped another killing. Arrested was Wesley Brownlee, 43, for homicide. The San Joaquin County District Attorney's Office will be reviewing this investigation and will file the appropriate charges. I want all you to know how seriously I take these types of investigations. This morning, when SWAT team was ordered to go out and conduct a search warrant at Mr. Wesley's residence, I went with them. Now, I would also like to thank each of you here, the media. Thank you. The news coverage, thank you for the social media stories, and thank you for keeping the victims' memories alive during your coverage. You and our community also played a part in this. We still need more tips to come in. If anyone has information about Wesley and this investigation, please get those to our investigators. At this time, I would like to bring up our own Mayor, Kevin Lincoln.
First and foremost, I want to thank you, Chief, for your leadership, for assembling the multi-agency task force, District Attorney's Office, all those who were involved to help get this community to where we're at today. We stood here just a couple of weeks ago and we made it very clear to the public that these senseless acts of violence will not be tolerated. And that even though there wasn't any words that we could say that would bring back the lost loved ones, the least that we could do is do our part to help bring justice. And here we are today. As Chief said, there's a road ahead of us. We still have work to be done. But to the community, thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for exercising your voice. Thank you for submitting the hundreds of tips that have come in on a daily basis. This could not have been done, and today would not be made possible without you.
His name, but for us to get it right, could you please say and spell the suspect's name for us? And where is he from?
And does he have a prior criminal record?
Name is Wesley Brownlee. That'd be Wesley, Brownlee, Brownlee, is 43 years old and currently resides in Stockton.
Chief, you mentioned he was hunting. Are those words that came from the suspect?
No, those are not. Those are us watching his patterns and behavior.
Can you speak to the value of the new Facebook group that it has been working and mobilizing and been called a trailblazing effort to contribute to this investigation, and also how you see them playing a role in continuing to secure additional tips and help to bring healing to the community?
I know my PIO, Joseph Silva, has partnered with him and has stayed in communications as far as information that's been going back and forth. But we're absolutely willing to have people, it takes us all to solve these types of cases, and we're very happy to see a group of folks willing to come together and put a lot of time into it as well.
Chief, to the extent you can, could you walk us through the investigative steps that led the investigators this morning to this guy's car, and how, what evidence we have to know that this is our guy?
Well, I can tell you we have information that had got us to his place of residence, and at that point we maintained eyes on that residence until he became mobile. Once he became mobile is when we started to continue following him until we eventually took him off, when we identified that he's posing a threat.
Do we know if this person suffers from any psychological condition?
That I do not know at all.
Has the police department had run-ins with him in the past?
I know he does have a criminal history. I'm not sure to what extent or with what agencies.
Can you speak to any possible motive?
That I don't know.
The firearm he used, is that firearm stolen? Does it belong to him?
That we don't know. Absolutely, it's a critical piece of evidence that will be processed.
Is he a long-term resident of Stockton, or has he been back and forth between Oakland?
I believe he has lived in different cities in addition to Stockton.
You know how long he's lived here for kind of a continuous time?
No, I don't.
Are you able to tell us any connection, whether his residence or otherwise, to the neighborhood in Stockton where a lot of these killings took place in, near I-5 and the Calvary?
That I don't know specifically. I do know where he lived wasn't too far from one of our homicides.
Can you say which one?
He lives, yeah.
Are you able to speak to his mode of transportation? A lot of theories have been speculated as to railroad, vehicle, and foot, obviously. Can you speak to any of those details?
Well, all we know is he was mobile in a vehicle, and that's all we know. We know part of his pattern in praying is at some point to get on foot.
Can you describe the vehicle at all?
No, we're not going to do it.
Chief, you said that you followed him until you were identifying that he was posing a threat. What exactly, was that? What was he doing that made you think he was on the hunt on this mission?
Just his patterns were consistent with some of the patterns that we had seen were, around parks, around dark places, stopping, looking around, moving again. And at that point, we thought for the safety of the public, it was best to take this person off.
All right, thank you, guys. That concludes our press conference today.
Thank you.
These images on the wall will also be on our Facebook page following the press conference.